So the other day we started what is digestion and absorption of your lipids. Specifically, we came up to the step of emulsification of lipid that occurs in small intestine. Now, after emulsification in your um, duodenum, specifically, what happens is pancreatic enzymes will start acting on these fat molecules or on your lipid molecules. Pancreatic enzymes are essential for the digestion and absorption of fat. Without them, specifically without bile salts, you will not be able to digest them properly, okay, and you will not be able to absorb them properly. You'll understand in a bit why. So specifically what happens is these pancreatic enzymes, they will degrade individual elements of your lipids. Now if you take lipids, in your lipids you'll be able to find your cholesterol esters. So cholesterol esters, you'll be able to find um triacylglycerol, and you'll be able to find phospholipid. The specific type of phospholipid that you find generally is lecithin. So there are several type of phospholipids. Um, Specifically, you'll find lecithin very commonly. Now they are individually broken down into different components. Now for example, if I take triacylglycerol, whenever pancreatic lipase, so the pancreatic enzyme that works on these what do you call products of lipids, or these components of lipids, will be pancreatic lipase. So lipase will be something that will break down lipids. That is why it is called lipase. Now triacylglycerol, when acted upon by uh, lipase, pancreatic lipase, you will get, so let's write it here. So upon the action of pancreatic lipase, you end up getting two monoacylglycerol molecules. See, please be careful. It is not two different molecules of monoacyl glycerol. It is what you call monoacyl group, glycerol group present on the second position. Okay, please don't get confused with that. It is not two different molecules. Plus, you get a free fatty acid. Now, fatty acids in general, they occur in two forms. Okay, you either get them as free fatty acids which are not esterified, in the sense that they will not have a ester bond in the end. So they will basically not have a bond like this. So R, ऐसा बॉन्ड नहीं रहता उसके एंड में, okay, that this bond represents an ester. So what do you call, whenever you have a triacylglycerol or phospholipids or cholesterol esters being broken down, you generally tend to get free fatty acids or longer chain fatty acids. These fatty acids are non-esterified. Generally in your circulation, the most common type of fatty acid that you find is non-esterified. Once it enters hepatocytes and once it enters cells where is undergoing hydrolysis, that is when it will become a esterified fatty acid. Okay, we'll get to that as well. Anyway, so these free fatty acids are also called non-esterified fatty acids. Okay, so bear that in mind. Now coming back to this thing, as I told you, triacylglycerol upon degradation by your pancreatic lipase will give you a molecule of 2-monoacylglycerol and a free fatty acid. For once again, I think I have an image lying around for that. Yep. So once again, I hope you guys can see this. So if I take one triacyl glycerol molecule, see it has three glycerol molecules. Now in that, what I do is, sorry, three acyl molecules. What I do is I remove the acyl group from the first position by subjecting it to lipase. That is an intermediate product that is formed when you get one fatty acid and a diacyl molecule. So 2,3 diacyl. Then again I subject it to lipase where I get a monoacyl molecule wherein the acyl group is present only on the second position. In the end, what will happen is if you take one glycerol molecule and you subject it to lipase by the addition of water, you end up getting two free fatty acids. Okay, one from the intermediate compound and the other from the third reaction. Two fatty acids and one molecule of two monocyl glycerol molecules. This is how monocyl glycerol molecule looks. Right. I hope you understood that part. right? So then coming to cholesterol esters, one second, people are trying to come in, right? When cholesterol esters are subjected to esterase, so these are specifically worked upon by something called cholesterol esterase. Okay, a special type of enzyme that is present in your pancreatic fluids. This will convert cholesterol esters into cholesterol and fatty acids, fat-free fatty acids. Okay, so that is what you get from cholesterol esters. Then from phospholipids. Now phospholipids are generally, there are several ways of converting phospholipids. One of the most common ways that you will find even in your body, even without consuming any food. See, this is a scenario where we are considering someone has eaten some food and it has fat. So obviously most of your food will have some form of fat. Okay, normally whenever people eat food, even the oil, that is a type of fat. So what do you call, when fat is getting consumed in your body, they will that food will generally have cholesterol esters, triacylglycerol, and phospholipids present in them, and they are converted into different molecules. But sometimes what happens is phospholipids are in general present in your body as well. It does not necessitate you to consume something from outside. It will be present inside your body. Phospholipids are in turn broken down by one particular enzyme that is present on cell surface. Okay, several epithelial cells will have one particular enzyme called phospholipase A2. Okay, PLA2. You will study about it in inflammation next year. Why is it is important? But just bear in mind for now that cells will have something called phospholipase A2 that can break down phospholipids. They can also break down. See, you generally get phospholipids when, let's suppose I have a cell like this, and I have a bacteria or some pathogen that is entering the cell like this, and it is damaging the cell to the point that the cell is breaking down. Okay, when it breaks down, you get cell debris, right? Literally cell ka kachra, that is cell debris. So that cell debris will be converted using phospholipase A2 that will be present on epithelial cell membrane. So anyway, we are digressing. Just for now, remember that phospholipids can be broken down by phospholipases. Phospholipases. Okay, this will be a hydrolysis reaction where you're again adding water and you end up getting free fatty acids, just abbreviate it as Fa, free fatty acids and lysophospholipid. We'll stop it here for now, lysophospholipid, because the reaction can go very long and it will end up in the formation of arachidonic acid. I'm not sure, it is not present in your current portion, but I'm sure later on sometime you will study about the formation of arachidonic acid and what is its importance. But for now, we'll stop the reaction here. So this is how digestion or breaking down of lipids will occur. So initially it occurred, I'll just wind it up what is happening in digestion. Initially it started in stomach where lipase, gastric lipase acted on fatty acid, on lipids, and broke it down into shorter fatty acids, okay, short chain fatty acids. Then emulsification occurred, emulsification of lipids. It happened due to bile salts, specifically the what you call detergent or surfactant action of bile salts. What happened is emulsions were formed, and because of mechanical mixing through your peristalsis. After that, what happens is pancreatic enzymes that are coming through your, along with your bile, they will act upon these emulsified molecules of lipid, and they will break them down even further, where you end up getting free fatty acids and cholesterol, and you end up getting a few other products like 2-monoacylglycerol and so on and so forth. All right, that is in a nutshell what is digestion of your lipids. Now I hope you understood that part. If you didn't, please let me know. Okay,
Didn't
you, yeah, lovely.
didn't understood, sir.
You didn't understand. Dekho, in the last class, we talked about digestion of lipids in your stomach. Initially, there is something called gastric lipase that is present in your stomach. That is the first contact with your lipids. Generally, it will not get digested as such to a great degree in your saliva. It will mainly start getting digested in your stomach, where lipase starts breaking down your fats. Once in your stomach, minor lipid digestion occurs, where a little bit of long chain fatty acids. So if you take any molecule of fat, you will have long chains. Okay, they are broken down into shorter molecules. That is the first step. Then emulsification occurs. In the last class, I told you what is emulsification. You have one, what do you call, dispersed phase in a running phase or in a regular phase, wherein, for example, if I have oil droplets present in water, I will have a emulsion which contains one small molecule of oil mixed together in water. All right, generally what happens is micelles are formed. Micelles are special, how should I put it, they are special molecules. Okay, so if I take, I told you in emulsification we generally add something, a surfactant. That surfactant will decrease the surface tension of both of these molecules, so that emulsion can be formed easily. All right, for example, bile salts in your body will act as a surfactant. One second. Yeah, so bile salts are one form of surfactant. Now if I take molecule of fat, what will happen is it will have both a hydrophilic end and a hydrophobic end. We already studied about that. If you take the structure of a fat, you have one hydrophilic end and one hydrophobic end. That is why they are called amphoteric molecules. That if you remember, some time ago we studied that they are amphoteric molecules. Now specifically because they will have what you call the hydroxyl group and the hydrocarbon chain being hydrophobic, and what you call hydroxyl group being hydrophilic. So what ends up happening is the hydrophobic end, which is literally afraid of water. So if I am dropping one molecule of oil, let's suppose in water, what happens is the hydrophobic ends will join together, and the hydrophilic ends will end up getting outside, and you will have a special molecule present here which is binding this. Okay, so this gray molecule, let's suppose, is that special molecule. That special molecule being a surfactant. A surfactant will be able to lower the surface tension of those individual molecules so that they can get dissolved in each other. All right, so specifically what will happen is a special structure called a micelle is formed. Okay, so micelle looks something like this. Second, I think I have, yeah, one second, I'll show you the image itself, it'll be easier. See, this is a missile. Now, when I am trying to make an emulsion, what will happen is, so let's suppose I'm dropping a little bit of oil in water, or I'm basically trying to dissolve oil in water. Look on the left first. What is a missile? Uh, what happens is the hydrophilic end goes outside and the hydrophobic end remains inside. So again, यहाँ पर representation hydrophilic का the what do you call circular parts में दिए, you can represent it anywhere actually. So in any case, you will have that oil molecule present in the center with a surfactant present. That surfactant will make sure that the oil is getting, it will not get dissolved in water, but it stays intact and it will stay stable in that water. Okay, this special circular molecule that you see, that is called a micelle. Now this is a simple micelle because it only has one surfactant and it will only have one type of fat molecules. Now a mixed micelle is something that will have several different types of molecules and sometimes several different types of surfactants as well, meaning different types of molecules that are making sure oil is getting dissolved, vertical oil is getting how should I put it, emulsified in water. Okay, to put it in a more technical way. So this is the step of emulsification where this surfactant in your body is bile salts. Okay, whenever you have fat coming across in your small intestine, immediately bile will start getting released, and that bile itself will start acting as a surfactant and a detergent, meaning that fellow will decrease surface tension and it will cause formation of micelles. So like detergent, yeah, like detergent. Surfactant or detergents, actually surfactant is a very special type of detergent, to put it one other way. It is detergent, but a very special type of detergent. Okay. Now, detergent bhi आप देखे तो, if you see the general action of detergent, if you see advertisements and all, they show you that if you have some greasy smudge or some stain on your shirt or something like that, you'll be able to apply a little bit of detergent and clean it off, or at least that is what is advertised. The principle is that it will lower the surface tension of that greasy material on your cloth, so that it let goes of your cloth. Whenever you see closely microscopically on the fibers of your cloth, you'll be able to see these oil molecules that are smudged on the fiber. So what these detergents do is they will decrease the surface tension of that oil so that it leave that fiber. That is how you get rid of a stain. The same thing will happen here. Whenever you're trying to form a micelle or a mixed micelle, that surfactant or that detergent molecule will decrease the surface tension, and it will make sure that oil is remained intact, specifically in a form where hydrophilic ends will remain outside and hydrophobic ends will remain inside, making a small circular molecule. That is a micelle. Okay, I hope you understood what is a micelle. Now, in some textbooks, you'll find it as MISCELLE. Different interpretations, both are fine. Now, you will have such molecules present. So, if I represent this as a single circle, you will have several circular molecules present in the solution that is in your small intestine. Okay, this will basically make sure that absorption of lipids can occur. Generally, mixed micelles can directly get diffused inside your what do you call, in your lumen, specifically your intestinal mucosal membrane. In that, it will be very easy to
हमको एक
absorb
गोली खा
lipids.
लेने का था नहर के
Reshma, please mute your voice. Be careful of your microphone, guys. Right. So that was one part I was telling. Emulsification occurs. After the emulsification, what happens is pancreatic enzymes come into picture, and they will break down whatever long chains that are present in your fat. So there are some molecules which will not exactly form micelle. They are way too big to form micelle. So what will happen is pancreatic enzymes will break them down even further. You have triacylglycerol, you have cholesterol esters, you have phospholipids. These molecules are broken down so that you get free fatty acids. From these free fatty acids, you can get micelles. Okay, that is the principle. From free fatty acids, you'll be able to absorb them easily. That is why you break these individual molecules down, form free fatty acids, and later on form micelles so that it can get absorbed inside your mucosal membrane. Okay, अभी समझ में आया what is happening in digestion of lipids?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you still have doubts, any particular area, if you want me to ask anyone, please feel free. You can put it in the chat as well. Either way is fine.
So these measles have been absorbed by mucus cell, or
या म्यूकस मेम्ब्रेन जो सेल मेम्ब्रेन रहती है आपके स्मॉल इंटेस्टाइन की, उसके अंदर थ्रू लिपिड ट्रांसपोर्ट, सो दे आर सम स्पेशल मॉलिक्यूल्स that are responsible for transport of lipids. Now micelle itself will act as a vehicle. Now micelle will act as a vehicle for that fat to get into the cell. Okay, think of it as a special form. Okay, that special form is able to, if I have a fatty acid as such, let's suppose I have a fatty acid like this with the OH end here, and this is the hydrocarbon chain. This fellow is harder to get inside, okay, to get in into a cell membrane. So instead of this, what I will do is I will add a surfactant and I will make a micelle. This micelle will act as a transporter itself. This will be a major vehicle that can get absorbed into your mucosal cell membrane, intestinal mucosal cell membrane. Generally happens through diffusion. Okay, if you are not having micelle formation properly, you will not be able to absorb what you call, you'll not be able to absorb fat, and you'll not be able to absorb uh, what you call oil dependent or basically क्या बोलते हैं उन लोगों को, those vitamins, oil based vitamins, those ones which will dissolve in oil, ADEK, they will not get absorbed properly if you do not have proper absorption or micelle formation. Okay, water insoluble जिसको बोलते हैं. Yeah. So I hope you that answers your doubt.
yes, sir.
Okay, right. Now coming to mechanism, or sorry, metabolism of your fatty acids. Now in your blood, as I told you, fatty acids will exist in two forms. They will either exist as long chains and short chains, and specifically they might be esterified or non-esterified. Generally speaking, in your blood, most of the what do you call fatty acids that are present, free fatty acids, those will be non-esterified. They will not have an ester bond present in them. Okay, because of which they can flow around freely whenever they are entering into your cells. Specifically, metabolism of fats and lipids occurs in your liver. So whenever it enters hepatocyte, that is when it undergoes esterification. Later on, what happens is this esterified fatty acid in the cell itself, it will undergo hydrolysis. It will go undergo a bunch of reaction. It will be hydrolyzed by esterases, and it will end up forming carbon dioxide and water, and it will end up releasing a lot of energy. So what you do is you take a non-esterified non-esterified fatty acid. You make sure that this fellow gets inside your hepatocyte, so eventually whenever your cell requires energy, it will absorb these NEFAs and non-esterified fatty acids, and in your cell what happens is it will undergo a bunch of reactions where it is forming esterified fatty acid. Okay, this esterified fatty acid is broken down to get energy. So this is how your cell will get energy from fat at least. Okay, one second, I'll just type it out, it'll be easier. These esterified fatty acids, they will be hydrolyzed. Esterases are what you call acted upon them. They will be broken down and they'll be oxidized. Later on, you end up getting carbon dioxide and water along with a lot of energy. Okay, that energy is in the form of ATP. Okay, whenever we tell energy in a cellular term, it is in the form of ATP. So a lot of ATPs are generated that can be used by cell for various metabolic processes, and this in general process, this part is called lipolysis. Okay, this part is called lipolysis because you're breaking down lipids. All right, now coming to one particularly important type of uh, compound, cholesterol. We'll study cholesterol metabolism. You do not have a lot of metabolism, at least not a lot of cycles in them, but cholesterol metabolism at least you should know. So coming to cholesterol metabolism, before we get into the thick of the metabolism, you need to know some important functions of cholesterol. Now, obviously, it is found in animals, which is why it is called animal sterol. And as such, in a healthy person or a healthy man, the amount of cholesterol that should be present in them is around 2 grams per kg body weight. So, one second, somebody is trying to come in. Yeah, normal cholesterol content in a healthy man is around 2 grams per kg body weight. So if I have someone who weighs around 70 kilos, they should have around 140 grams of what do you call cholesterol present. But again, see, this will change quite a bit. If someone is obese, they might have more than 2 grams per kg body weight. Okay, so that will fluctuate a little bit. Here we are talking about an ideal healthy man. Now it'll average around 2. So coming to specific functions of your cholesterol is a very potent molecule in storing energy. Okay, it has a very high dielectric constant and it can be broken down to get a lot of energy. Other than that, it will act as a precursor for several steroid hormones. So your glucocorticoids, corticosteroids, androgen, estrogen, all of those. Uh, they take their what do you call they take their origin from cholesterol. So without cholesterol, all of their levels will get affected. Now, where do you get secretion of corticosteroids and glucocorticoids? कैसे कि secrete होते हैं ना आपकी बॉडी में? आप लोगों को एड्रिनल ग्लैंड्स पढ़ा है? Hmm?
Yes, sir.
I couldn't hear you, Alan. Yes or no? You haven't been taught. You've been taught.
Yes.
There are two different messages I'm getting privately. One is saying no, the other is saying yes. Adrenal glands पढ़ा है नहीं पढ़ा है? That small little gland that is present above your liver, sorry, kidney, liver बोल रहा हूँ.
पढ़ाया
पढ़ाया?
हाँ सर
पढ़ाया
पढ़ाया सर
बोले तो फिर you should be able to tell what are glucocorticoids and corticosteroids, no? There are a few types of glucocorticoids and corticosteroids, no? Acha, for now, we'll not get into the details of that. Those molecules, glucocorticoids, corticosteroids, your cortisone, your there are several molecules. Okay, those molecules, aldosterone, dopamine, several of them, all of them take their origin from cholesterol. If you do not have enough amount of cholesterols, you will not have what you call glucocorticoids and corticosteroids being formed. Prednisone, your dexamethasone, your what you call aldosterone, all of which are important for your normal functioning of your body. All of them are being made from your cholesterol. They are called steroid hormones because they have a steroidal nucleus in them, along with androgens and estrogen. Androgens being your testosterone, several 3 4 types of androgens. One of the most important one being testosterone. And vitamin D specifically is formed using your cholesterol and your bile acids. Your bile acids being, the common four bile acids that you have: the kelodeoxycholic, deoxycholic, lithocholic, and that other one, uh, cholic acid. So all of these are taking their vertical origin from cholesterol. If you do not have normal amounts of cholesterol, all of the normal functions of those particular hormones or compounds will get affected as well. Other than that, it is essential. It is an essential ingredient of your lipoproteins, in the sense that it will form the lipid part of your lipoprotein. If you do not have cholesterol, you will not have normal functioning of your lipoproteins. Your fatty acids that are transported to your liver as cholesterol esters for oxidation. If you do not have enough amount of cholesterol, you will not get the function out of your lipoproteins. Okay, even if you want normal function from your HDL or LDL, you need to have cholesterol present in them. Along with that, it will act as an insulating cover for transmission of nerve impulses. So whenever you have a nerve impulse being transmitted, आप लोगों को न्यूरोलॉजी पढ़ा है? न्यूरॉन पढ़ा है नहीं तो
Yes, sir.
Padai. Okay. So cholesterol plays a very important role in, let's put it this way, it has an important role in the formation of myelin sheet. Okay. Or it plays a role in myelin sheet. If you do not have enough amount of cholesterol, you will not have proper myelin sheet, and it will act as an insulating material, in the sense that if you have an axon here and if you have a proper insulating material. So if I use a different, one second. Let's suppose I am insulating it like this. What happens if I insulate an axon? Something happens, no? What is the difference between myelinated and unmyelinated axons, or myelinated, unmyelinated neurons? Something will be different in them other than myelin sheet. Acha, that will be a question that I will ask you in the next class. Do let me know what is the difference between a myelinated and unmyelinated axon, and what you get out of it. Electrical impulse. Yeah. What happens to electrical impulse? Okay, ठीक है. We have a little bit of time left. We'll start the biosynthesis. Biosynthesis is a very big process of cholesterol, big cycle. We'll start it in the next class. But for now, for today, your homework will be find out what is the difference between a myelinated and unmyelinated axon, and please make sure that you read these. I hope you are reading what we are discussing in the class, because your portion is about to end. For you, I think, yeah, this chapter will be the last chapter. I hope you are completing your assignment of your vitamins. Other than that, those of post BSc, you have one topic left: water and electrolyte balance. I think 1 or 2 classes will be enough for you. It is already done for BSc. I'll just take 1 or 2 classes for you for that. But you guys, BSc, and both of you actually, post BSc and BSc, please make sure that you start reading. Okay, your portion is almost